Absolute terrible looking chart for ADA since March, down around 65%. It's a rough one. It is a rough chart to look at. And if you're an ADA holder, it's rough. It's just been rough, down 65% since March. Come on. I remember ADA was cruising to the upside, hitting around 80 cents, and we were really hoping for that breakout. And since then, we've gotten the exact opposite. And I want to talk about the move. I want to be realistic in this video. This is going to be a data-driven, unemotional video. I'm still bullish on Cardano. I'm sure there's probably some people that think I'm not, but I am. I'm still bullish on Cardano. We're going to talk about that in this video. ADA on the weekly, I want to break it down. Just data, everybody. This is all we have to look at. Cardano charts, you'd be actually very surprised with what we're going to see in this video. But Cardano charts are just, from a cycle perspective, actually still on pace. And I'm going to explain that very clearly. This isn't hopium. So hit the subscribe, hit the like. Let's jump into the video. I want to start with some good stuff here. This is breaking news. Binance just moved to in progress for upgrading and supporting the Cardano Chang hard fork. Let's go, ADA. Chang is coming soon, pass it on. And look at this. This is a snapshot. This hard fork will lay the foundation for on-chain governance on Cardano. We're about to look at charts. This is one reason why I'm so bullish on Cardano. Cardano is, as of right now, a top 10 cryptocurrency. It's a massive crypto with, I would say, like the most massive community. But out of like all of the cryptos, Cardano is about to launch on-chain community governance. On-chain community governance of a top 10 crypto. That is massive. And this is one narrative of Cardano, putting aside just how technically sound it is, how secure it is, how scalable it is. These are very bullish things, I think, on the macro. But then some might say, you know what? Well, look at the chart, though. What is going on? And I want to start on the weekly. We're going to look at some things, and then we'll definitely zoom in on the daily and talk about shorter term price action. But like, let's do this. It's a very simple exercise for me. This is not rocket science, and none of it has been. I've been doing these videos for quite some time now, for years on YouTube with crypto in general. Here's a Bitcoin halving right here, this cycle, okay? That blue line. Here it is last cycle right here. So I like to just see, like, are we on, what's the progress look like this cycle compared to last cycle? I do that often. And so if we look at this cycle, and right now it's, around 100 days or so past Bitcoin halving. So from all-time high, ADA down around 89%, 89 to 90%, around 100 days after this Bitcoin halving. If we go to last cycle, around 100 days after Bitcoin halving, and we look at the same time frame, ADA down around 93%. It doesn't matter if you like Cardano. It doesn't matter if you think this is hopium or not. At this time, last cycle, whether you held ADA or not, after the Bitcoin halving, ADA was down 93%. Let me get rid of this one. ADA was down 93% at this time last cycle, and now it's down around 90%. So that alone gives me a ton of context to work with, especially when we start looking at other altcoins and what they're doing, especially when we start looking at the Bitcoin dominance chart and what it's doing. It's been rising ever since this swing low in October 2022. It's been trending upwards. This means ADA is not in this season of struggle in an environment where Bitcoin dominance is falling. It's in this season of struggle at a very similar time frame last cycle as Bitcoin dominance was kind of in its upper range, right? So Bitcoin dominance in its upper range here. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because these green rectangles, historically, after this white line, the Bitcoin halving, those green rectangles are typically altcoin season. And we're still waiting for that. We're still waiting for Bitcoin dominance to start falling. And if you look at this, even the last cycle, Bitcoin dominance started falling around 200 some days after the Bitcoin halving. Right now, Bitcoin dominance, right now we're around 100 days or so after the Bitcoin halving, right? So all of this to say, when you zoom out on an ADA chart, if you look at ADA USD comparative to last cycle, or if you look at ADA as it relates to Bitcoin dominance comparative to last cycle, ADA is actually, it's doing exactly what it did last cycle, almost. So I just want to say that. And then if we go to the weekly, I wanted to glance at this just because it's kind of a new thing that just happened with this big dip. I don't know if the pain is over. I really just don't. This cycle, there's things that have happened this cycle that are more bullish than we've seen in previous cycles for crypto. And there's things that have happened that are just kind of first time bearish that we haven't seen. So it's an indecisive, unknown environment. And that is what it is. That's crypto. But I am trying to track the data. And right now on this weekly chart, I want to point it out because I think it's important. We have this swing low here and a swing low here, kind of this lower low on price. And on this weekly, if ADA can see support now, we have a higher low on the RSI, this slower moving momentum oscillator. And that could be some really good looking bullish divergence for some type of reversal. Now, I want to just say this. If we look at this 20-week moving average crossing the blue line, there's an indicator that we didn't have happening at this time last cycle, right around here. It did not happen, right? ADA was consolidating between the 20 and the 50. This doesn't look good. I'm not going to sit here and say that looks great. But what I will say is it doesn't mean that one indicator alone does not mean it's over. This could be a very simple consolidation of the moving averages, continuation of the consolidation of the moving averages, and the entire thing could just flip back to the upside in preparation for the bull market. So that's one indicator. So I wanted to point out the bullish divergence potentially setting up on that. While I have this open, I'm just kind of curious. I wanted to see where the stock RSI is. Stock RSI is just trending down. It hasn't even hit overbought or oversold down here with this consolidation. But can we see a higher low on the stock RSI from this swing low and oversold? Some type of higher low on the stock RSI to set up for a really powerful move for ADA? Potentially. But let's talk about the short term. And this is what we're going to be discussing is just all of this mess since March. I want to take a couple quick clips. Here's one from March. And then I want to take one from this other clip was also 4 months ago in April, shortly thereafter. And this will provide, I think, good context for what we're about to talk about. So check this out. Right now, if you look at this chart, ADA has very much tested this lower trend line. Oh man, I want to stop. Look at the 65 cents. 65 cents. It would just be nice if ADA was at 65 cents right now, not 32. All right, I'm sorry. So there's a case, and this can be a downside scenario where ADA falls out of the pattern. And that alone will be something that's different than last cycle. So we're getting just weird, different consolidation from last cycle. It happened. But check this other clip out, and then we'll really talk about the move. This was from April, just shortly after that video I just did, right? Because at that move, we'd be asking a question, is there going to be resistance to go lower? I don't like drawing this on the chart. I was hoping we never even had to really get here to actually start talking about it, but we have to talk about it. It is what it is. Reality. It's data on the screen presenting itself to us. And the data played out. The data played out on the daily. Look at the journey to get here. That was early April, all back here. And it's not like we hit the target right away, right? And I think when we hit this area, I think I might have mentioned in a video, okay, target, pretty much hit. But right now with this move, even more so. And that's why I wanted to revisit this entire setup that we were tracking. These setups, especially these massive setups, a multi-month setup, right? Starting back here, like December, this went all the way over to breaking out and breaking down in April. And that's how long it took to get the breakout. And then to hit the target, it was another multi-month journey. And I think in general, if you're interested in technical analysis, this is just a good lesson in technical analysis. This was a macro setup, meaning a very big pattern, and it took a long time to hit the target, and we've hit the target. But just like I said in the video, it's just data. We have to pay attention to it, even when it's not what we want to see. And so we broke out to the downside. Our target, is absolutely officially hit. It's around 30 cents. We've even wicked below that into the 20s, it's just craziness. and we've bounced. And so far, the question is, well, was that it? Is it over? What's the deal? And for me, especially after we hit targets and we kind of break out of a pattern and hit the target, I get rid of the pattern. It's over now. And it's kind of like, what's the structure? Like what can we watch on the ADA chart at this moment, right? And there's probably so many different pieces of structure depending on what chart you're on. Even on this daily, you can even just see these lower lows. I mean, they're forming some type of trend line, right? Going right there, and then we can take an upper trend line of some sort, and maybe we have this falling wedge. Maybe we can put it right there, and then we have this kind of pattern of a fake breakout, and we're revisiting the apex of that wedge. There's a lot of different setups and things that we could talk about here. And I talked about this in the earlier video I did today on Bitcoin. I think the biggest thing that I watch now is not only structure, right, but the moving averages. Now that ADA, because Bitcoin is also below its moving averages, but now that ADA is below these moving averages, here's the 20 in green, the 50 in blue, the 200s all the way up here around 50 cents. It's the journey back to the moving averages that I want to see. And so often is the case, and we can go to momentum oscillators now to get a picture of this. Often is the case when we start hitting oversold on the RSI. Here's a slower moving RSI, and then we have the stock RSI, the quicker moving RSI, if I can find it, also oversold. You can just see it there, oversold. When we start entering that type of environment, often is the case, we'll at the very least get a move to, the 50, the 20 moving averages. And so for me, it's kind of like, all right, hopefully this target that was hit holds, this trend line holds, and ADA can start, maybe it trickles a little along that area, maybe it's sideways, but either way, ADA is about to make a move to the moving averages. And then for me, it's a matter of what happens there, right? Because here's a swing low, and if we really call it for what it is, it's a lower low from this one, right? And what's that? That's a lower low from this one. So we have these lower lows, and it's like, can we flip that trend? And you can see from this low, we kind of failed at the moving averages, but it tested it. You see that? It finally pulled into the moving averages. That's what we want to see now, pulling into the moving averages. I don't care if it's one massive green candle, by the end of this week where we're testing 40 cents right here, the confluent area of the 20 and the 50. I just want to see those moving averages tested. So I don't know, maybe crypto bounces and there's some type of little mini bounce, nice bounce, and ADA's doing that this week. Or maybe it's just kind of up a little bit and then back down and then slow and steady, just pulling into the moving averages in a couple of weeks, a few weeks. I don't know what it will be, but that's what I'm watching on ADA. And so that's the short term. That's short term what I'm watching. The thing is, and this is where, my perspective applies to this video, is I definitely watch these things, the short term. Can ADA kind of flip the momentum? Because just in the same way we have the moving averages, ADA's trending above it, higher highs, higher lows. Well, now we have the opposite. Lower lows, lower highs. We want to flip it in the same way that the bears flip the bulls right here to pull it down. Now we want the bulls to flip the bears to pull it back up. And right now we're at a part of this cycle that would be a great time to do it. I'm just going to say that because once again, last cycle at this time, right, around 100 days post Bitcoin halving, look where ADA was right here. You see that? ADA was kind of bottoming out its move at that moment. And so it would be great to see the same thing. But I can't say here I can't sit here and say that's absolutely going to happen. There are a lot of things going on and that are just so unknown. I do think, and I've said this time and time again, I do not think the bull market is canceled. I think this is just a consolidation move. I think this is almost normal. But again, you have to be prepared for anything. So I'm going to continue watching ADA charts. I wanted to do this video, give you some perspective on what I'm looking at, what I'm watching, what I'm seeing, but also just to mention this news. There's fundamentals that are happening right now that are incredibly bullish for this top 10 crypto. And if we are about to get a bull market, I think ADA is primed to do something really, really powerful. So hit the subscribe, hit the like. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I appreciate you cruising through. I'll see you next video. God bless.